Boom. The break is over.
Break is over.
All righty. It is August 16th already. Halfway through August. Where does the time go?
Yeah.
Did we even do an AMA this month? I think we had gotten one in. Was it Wednesday? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
no.
it was like the second, right?
Did we do one on the second? No, because we missed 2 weeks. Right? Yeah, we missed 2 weeks.
Last week and the week before. Oh
Yeah.
wow, yeah.
We haven't done first AMA of August. Yeah, because I went out of town on the 27th. So
oh wow.
Yeah, we got August 16th, 2022, and we are doing the LeoFinance AMA, which plenty to catch up on as we've had a little 2-week hiatus.
Yeah.
I was traveling and Cal was super busy helping launch LeoThreads, which I'm sure will be a big topic of this AMA amongst many other things that are going on in the Leoverse. What do we got? I'm looking in general chat. Sounds like people are having
unmute on Discord
issues. Oh yeah, I always forget about Discord. Unmute on Discord. We're still waiting for people to come in on Discord anyway. That was like, well, I just thought of Bob Uecker in Major League. It's like, no one's effing listening anyway. Now they're starting to stumble into Discord. In fact, let me scroll over to the AMA chat and see if there's any questions queued up from times gone past. Well, when threads, that answer's already been given. That was back on the 2nd. Where are the addresses for the new Cub Finance tokens? I'm assuming they're in the docs.
Yep. Actually, those, I think he's talking about BHBD, Beehive. Those aren't in the docs yet.
They're not. I forgot where I found it when I did mine. I was, like I said, I was traveling. I jumped on the computer one day. I found it somewhere. Where did I find it? Oh, I think someone gave it to me in general because I wanted to check liquidity or something. I don't remember what it was, but I found it. If I needed it again, I probably wouldn't have it on hand. In fact, I should probably log on.
Yeah, we already got some let's jump into, because I got some questions on threads already, but let's jump into some updates just because you know,
yeah,
it's been a while.
Exactly. Well, we usually do general updates. So yeah, give everyone an update on the last couple of weeks. Big things.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a big 2 weeks for us because we launched threads. You know, if you've been under a rock, you might have missed it. Or if you've been flying around like Mitch, you haven't made a thread yet.
I've not made a thread.
But threads is essentially, and we talked about it before, you know, obviously before it went live on the AMAs, because it's our first AMA with threads being live. And threads is essentially microblogging on Hive. It's kind of a proxy Project Blank. It's definitely so basically the way we're looking at it is we spent 18 months kind of building out like this key infrastructure for Project Blank. And that's stuff like Leo Lightning and Leo Infra and the Leo UI. This is all key stuff, and also Leo Mobile. All of this stuff is key to launching Project Blank at some point in the future. And we basically hit this kind of breakthrough moment where, you know, if we wanted to keep developing towards Project Blank, we needed a live product to basically be able to test and continue our iterations, both on the back end and the front end with the Threads UI. So what you see now is basically that next step towards Project Blank, which is you know, releasing an actual usable product. And it's definitely a minimum viable product. So it's, you know, it's literally pre V1. So if you look at it right now, we just released version 0.3 over the weekend. And that was a performance update. So if you saw that last at LeoFinance post, it goes into detail on that. But this MVP rollout is really important in terms of continuing our development. So anyone who's using threads right now is actually really benefiting our development. We're collecting a lot of data and feedback on how threads work, both front end and back end. So, I definitely see a lot of people, and on launch day, it was huge that a lot of people were, basically crashing the site, and there were a lot of issues, and it was hard to create threads. And we deployed a bunch of updates on that, within a 24-hour period, that fixed a lot of those issues. But yeah, I mean, in order to create a technology like this, we need people to crash it and use it and create bugs so that we can find them and fix them. So if you're using threads and you notice issues, we appreciate like a lot of people who are patient with the UI and understand that this is like an MVP, and it still needs, rapid and pretty deep improvements. It's definitely not perfect, and it's not going to be perfect for a long time. It's going to take a lot of updates, a lot of iteration, to get it to where we want it to be. So like one thing right now is, we deployed that performance update over the weekend, and we're actually continuing to deploy updates that are still considered under v0.3. As those updates roll out, sometimes you'll get network errors or 504s, so stuff like that. So just be patient with the UI, and it's an MVP. So until we hit v1.0, you're going to see intermittent issues probably on a daily basis. You'll see, something is out, or something's not working right, a link is broken. The best thing you can do is open a bug report ticket and let us know about it. Usually we catch the stuff though, because we have, server logging and error logging. So, but bug reports really help us and to find those bugs and improve quickly. The rollout schedule, and a lot of people have been impressed by this since LeoThreads went live, is that we're rolling out an update a week. So there's like a v0.3, v0.4, and our dev team, our goal is to roll one out every single week, around Friday-ish, depending on when we get it done. So we're rapidly improving the UI and the back end as well. I would say the back end is definitely the focus right now. We're just trying to improve everything, make it more stable and scalable. But yeah, I've actually been pretty impressed by how smooth the experience has been, just considering how complicated the tech is. I mean, if you look at the tech stack that's running threads, it's extremely complex. Like I said, I mean, we've literally been building this stuff out for 18 months. So it's pretty incredible to watch it go live and use it. And I've been, before it went live, I told everyone I kind of felt like a weight lifting off my shoulders in a way, where I knew that, we've been working on this stuff for so long, and I was just really happy to get it out. Even though that's when the real work started, in terms of updating and fixing and getting to that next level. So, I still feel like a little bit of a weight, just to kind of the weight lifted, just getting it out and getting feedback and letting people use it. I mean, it's definitely the most requested thing that we've ever had in the Leoverse. So I'm really excited to see how people use it and see what kind of use cases people come up for it. One thing that people are doing right now is called threadcasts, which is something Taskmaster came up with, which is kind of like live tweeting on threads. And I think that's a really cool idea. So stuff like that, we could never imagine the use cases that the users will come up with. But you guys come up with awesome stuff to do with the stuff we build. So I'm really happy with how threads have been going.
Yeah, I actually got threads up on my screen right now. I'm looking at see what questions there are in here in regards to answering on the AMA. But before we get into that, continue with the updates. So I know threads have been the big thing over the last couple weeks, but that doesn't mean all the other things have stopped. So do we have any new news or anything folks need to get updated on in regards to Leo itself, or Cub DeFi or PolyCUB?
Yeah, so LeoThreads has really been, in terms of the Leo social side of things, LeoThreads has really taken root, and you can see actually in the latest Leo stats report, the activity through threads has been astronomical. And then I've been watching the ad revenue, and the ad revenue has doubled since Threads went live. So there's a lot more page views, a lot more time on site, a lot more engagement, people who are actually clicking on ads too. All of these metrics are going up, and really the entire set of metrics that we use to kind of fundamentally evaluate LeoFinance have all been going up, which is crazy. Threads have really added this major use case to LeoFinance, and I'm really happy with how everything's going. And obviously at this MVP stage, I think a lot of people have come in, tried it, seen some bugs, and they said, "Oh, I'll come back later," when there's no bugs. And that's understandable. I think it takes a certain type of person to be willing to use a new technology and put up with some bugs and some issues and report on them and help the dev team build it out. It's a cool experience, and I'm just happy that there's people using it and helping us build it out, because I do think that it's the future of LeoFinance in a lot of ways. I think that microblogging is taking hold in a lot of different ways, and we'll just keep building it out, making it better. In terms of the DeFi stuff, actually, there's a PolyCUB monthly report. The first one is going to be released today. And that report is basically going to show all the data behind the multi-token bridge, arbitrage revenue, wrapping fees, Oracle staking. It'll also show all the buybacks for Vex PolyCUB. So, the report is pretty in-depth, and it covers all of this stuff. And I think people are going to be excited by I think people are going to be excited by two main things, and one of them is how much revenue the protocol is generating from the multi-token bridge, which has about $500,000 in it right now. So that's the TVL of things like Hive, PHBD, PLeo. It's got about $500,000 there. And then, the amount of revenue that's generated on just $500,000 being in that multi-token bridge is pretty astronomical. And obviously the way that revenue is deployed is talked about in detail in the report, but a percentage is used for the Vex PolyCUB buybacks, which is that paying out that 20% fixed APY to anyone who locked up X PolyCUB for 2 years. And then whatever's remaining above that from the revenue is deployed in the protocol and liquidity. So it's really cool to see those things grow. And basically, as more Vex PolyCUB gets staked, more PolyCUB needs to be bought back every month. So it kind of creates this self-equalizing system where if users are staking more PolyCUB, then more PolyCUB is getting bought back. So it kind of creates this bullish metric that really supports the price and is going to build out that sustainability. So this is obviously the first month where we've had the buybacks in place for Vex PolyCUB, and I think it'll be cool to see. So basically like 40,000 PolyCUB were bought this month for the buybacks by the PolyCUB DAO. And that 40,000 PolyCUB is getting deposited into the Vex PolyCUB contract. So it's getting locked up itself for up to 2 years. And that's basically that PolyCUB is then distributed to all Vex PolyCUB stakeholders evenly. So you'll start to see if you look at the UI, when that report goes live, if you look at that X PolyCUB UI, it'll show Vex PolyCUB and it'll show the XPC Vex PC ratio. Right now is 1.002. It started at 1, and then as the buybacks happen, that ratio goes up. So that ratio will go up by a factor of 20% a year. So obviously that means every month more PolyCUB is getting bought back and deployed into the contract, which increases the ratio. So it's going to be really fascinating to watch how this all plays out with multi-token bridge revenue, just buying back PolyCUB. And obviously the lower the PolyCUB price gets, the more, so this is where you kind of get that equilibrium situation where as the PolyCUB price gets lower, the protocol is still earning a lot of dollars in terms of revenue. So those dollars go a longer way in terms of buying PolyCUB. So, like the price is like 10 cents right now. So if you look at it, the 40,000 PolyCUB that needs to be bought back every month costs the protocol a lot less with the price being 10 cents than if it were 20 cents. And that difference basically allows the protocol to compound into the protocol and liquidity, which can generate more revenue for the protocol later. So it's kind of this cool system where If the PolyCUB price is going down, the protocol is basically stocking up more revenue for the future. And then if the PolyCUB price is going up, the protocol is stocking up less revenue for the future, but it's buying back the same amount of PolyCUB. So it's really interesting to see how it plays out. And obviously this is the first month, so we'll have to see, what people think when the report goes live. But I'm really excited to see where that goes. After the launch of PHBD, my entire thesis for PolyCUB and Cub, changed forever. Just seeing how much revenue could be generated from such a small amount of capital. It's really cool to see. And the real key, and it's in that report, how does the community, how do we all come together to grow PolyCUB and grow Cub? Because I think we all want to see it succeed. It's talked about in that report, but really growing the assets in PHBD, Phive, Beehive, and BHBD. That's really the key. So it's really important that we grow those, and we can see the revenue kind of skyrocket from there. So that's kind of where PolyCUB's at. I keep an eye out for that report today. It's like, how many pages is it? It's like 10 pages. So quick 10-page report, and then we'll get that every single month. And then, from there, kind of see how that progresses. And then with Cub, we'll see the same report be launched every month. So you'll get that PolyCUB report that's talking about the multi-token bridge revenue and the growth of PolyCUB and the Vex PolyCUB buybacks. Then you'll also get a separate Cub report. And the cool kind of comparison that I think we're going to get is PolyCUB uses the multi-token bridge revenue to buy back PolyCUB and just deposit it into Vex PolyCUB. And so it's basically a buyback and redistribute model. Cub uses that same model, but instead of buyback and redistribute, it's buyback and burn. So Cub is generating that kind of ridiculous level of revenue on a small amount of capital. So I think PolyCUB has about 500K right now in multi-token bridge liquidity, and Cub has about 250K. And it's been growing. Cub has been growing pretty fast. The multi-token bridge has been live for about 2 weeks on Cub. So it's going to be really fascinating to watch as the buybacks happen on Cub, simultaneous to those buybacks happening on PolyCUB, and we'll kind of see which model is performing, better than the other. And it's kind of like a friendly competition to see both models working. But I think this revenue model is very interesting. And Mitch and I were talking about it before we went live. But the Cub protocol is generating about $18,000 per month in inflation. So the amount of Cub that's created, there's one Cub per block. It comes out to about $18,000 a month right now. And the multi-token bridge on PolyCUB is generating pretty close to that amount in monthly revenue on 500K in multi-token bridge assets. So if you assume that Cub is headed towards getting 500K in multi-token bridge assets, which I think it is, I think yesterday it was like 220K and today it's 250K. So we're seeing it grow pretty quickly to that number. It's not hard to imagine a future where Cub is actually buying back more Cub than is being created in dollar terms every single month and burning it. So that would mean that Cub's multi-token bridge is outpacing the inflationary rate, which is super bullish for Cub. So I'm really excited to see how this stuff performs, and seeing it all live on PolyCUB has made me really excited about Cub. And me and Mitch were talking about that and the multi-token. The multi-token bridge kind of turns our DeFi protocols, Cub and PolyCUB, from being more like other DeFi protocols where you just farm assets and the only utility is farming. It turns it from that into something that's more like a Binance or an FTX. It's kind of like an exchange where it's generating wrapping revenue and the Oracle staking revenue, and then also internal arbitrage. We know that, like Binance and FTX got rich off of arbitraging their own assets. So PolyCUB and Cub are doing the same thing. And I think it's going to be, if we can all come together and grow that multi-token bridge asset, that multi-token bridge total value locked, both for Cub and PolyCUB, I think we're going to see things kind of turn around and turn around in a big way. It's all about that sustainable revenue that we can keep generating and building out that bridge. I'm really excited about it.
And that's what's big too, is that, first of all, it's just like the snowball essentially got kicked off, because really that's what it is. Like, you're trying to build the snowball effect, but it's also another avenue of revenue, because, prior it's like, all right, there's ad revenue. That's great for burns, but it's like, where else is revenue being generated? And, not only is this somewhere where you can have a consistent revenue, but it's something you can have a consistently growing revenue. Like, ad revenue is what it is. And like, yeah, you can grow it obviously with more eyeballs and more, user interaction. But the bridge revenue is something that is literally like a service that,
Right.
as more money comes in and more users come in, is guaranteed to grow. Ad revenue doesn't distinctly have to move up with, more users, because people still got to click on shit and whatnot. This is, servicing a need, and anyone that's providing liquidity, especially, when it comes to like Beehive, BHBD, all those, essentially going to be using this service. And what's great is that revenue circles back into the system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like it's just, going to corporate profits for a centralized organization. So
Exactly. Well, that's where those Web3 principles come in, whether you're looking at ad revenue on LeoFinance or multi-token bridge revenue on PolyCUB and Cub. That's the Web3 principle, right? Like, we have a PolyCUB DAO, we're setting up the Cub DAO. And these things, they allow users and stakeholders to basically control what happens on the platform. So, it's really in the hands of the community and the users to grow the multi-token bridge, and kind of determine the future of the platform. When you look at PolyCUB, we just had that PolyCUB improvement proposal number 2, which was to increase the wrapping fee from 0.25% to 0.5%. And that was almost like a unanimous vote.
I completely missed that. That must have happened while I was on the road and whatnot.
Yeah, I think voting ended on like July 22nd or something.
Oh no, I didn't miss that. It was before I went out. I don't even remember how I voted.
Yeah, you could. There were 3 options: keep it at 0.25%, increase to 0.35, or increase to 0.5, and it was pretty unanimously towards 0.5%.
Nice. So did that
so
kick
that
in? Has that kicked in, or is that
Yeah,
nice?
it's kicked in. So now the protocol is generating even more revenue than it was before.
So public service announcement. I think you said updates are being pushed right now. I know a lot of people are saying they're getting 504 errors. I actually tried to jump on LeoFinance just now. I already have a page that was loaded with like the thread thing. But since I've tried to jump on again on like a new tab, I got the same thing. So I'm assuming that's because you guys are pushing updates as we speak.
Yeah, we were pushing updates this morning, and yeah, the devs are still working on it right now. So definitely, yeah, you might see some intermittent outages while the updates, because basically every time an update is pushed, the UI gets rebuilt and then redeployed. So when that happens, if you're refreshing while it's happening, it'll get you an error. So you may get some instability for the next few hours while we do that.
Cool. So
maybe like an hour or 2.
Speaking of that, when it comes to Leo Mobile, I know ever since Threads, Leo Mobile's been a little rough, if not functioning at all for people. I know some people said like they can't, like one person was like, I can only get on my wallet page. I've been able to like get on, but like literally can't do anything past the curated page. And then, how's that mentioned? LeoThreads is cool, but it'd be even cooler if he could use it through Leo Mobile. So I'm assuming that updates are going to need to be pushed to the mobile app, is my guess.
Yep. Yeah, we're working on a Leo Mobile update, which will include threads and also an update for Lightning, because I know a lot of people are having loading issues on mobile right now, just because there's so much content being pushed through Lightning now since the threads update. So we're basically upgrading everything on Leo Mobile to handle threads and everything like that. So hopefully within the next like 2 weeks, I would say we're going to have like a big mobile update. So we're at V1 right now. We'll see like V1.1.01 and it'll have a really big update to handle threads and everything. I'm excited to be able to thread from the mobile app, because right now I probably thread most of the time. I'm probably creating threads from my mobile device using the web app. So just leofinance.io on my mobile browser. That's probably how I create the majority of my threads. So doing that in app is going to be even easier.
Nice. What else? Tony asked, when's Neil coming back? Don't worry, I don't take that completely personal, Tony. No one knows when Neil's coming back. He is an enigma wrapped in a spreadsheet. My free BTC asks, the kingdom fees only apply to the sushi tokens and curve earned by staking, right? Trading fees don't get taxed.
Yeah, it should. So good question. Yeah, it's only by staking because what the kingdom's contract is doing is taking so like it's earning sushi, right? The LPs are earning sushi. It's taking that sushi and selling it back into the base LP asset. So if it's like a WETH WBTC kingdom, that WETH WBTC kingdom is earning sushi, and then it's selling the sushi for WETH and Bitcoin, and then it's buying back into the WETH WBTC LP, and then it's distributing those LP tokens to all the kingdom stakers. So yeah, that doesn't have an impact on trading fees because the trading fees are built into your existing LP position. So
yeah, because an LP position is basically just a management fee, right?
Right.
So
it's just a management fee only on the yield token being earned, not the base trading fees from the DEX.
Yep. What else we got? What do we got? Someone's asking, what are they asking? Was wondering what the LeoCUB system is paying in the pools. I had a nice stake of Matic mature on my exchange, and blah, blah, blah. We cut the rates in half. I'm assuming they're asking about the Matic pool, because that's essentially the place to earn yield on Matic on Cub DeFi. I do not know what that is off the top of my head because I don't have PolyCUB up right now, but I'm sure someone can throw in that answer. So we just got to look at the yield on the pool, or just go to polycub.com and look at, I'm too lazy. That's funny. You and me both. Oh yeah. Nailion put the link for PolyCUB. Hit that and hit kingdoms or farms. So good old threads.
Yeah, I'm upvoting everyone. So there's a lot of this is pretty cool to have threads live during the AMA because we're getting a lot more engagement.
I'm afraid to try and
questions.
refresh. I'm on that, but I'm afraid to refresh because I'm like, I don't want to get an error. I just got the initial stuff. Which Marcos we answered. I see him just based on the pick on that. He asked about, Leo Mobile. So it sounds like that's going to come in the next week or two. Tom Hall's question you answered just as part of the update in regards to the PolyCUB report. So, which I'm actually looking forward to checking out that PolyCUB report. That's going to be something I actually read through mostly, which is definitely a change for me.
Yeah,
right? TLDR for life.
Yeah, the cool thing about that report is it's in depth, but it's not like there's for as many words as there are, there's even more charts. So it's kind of cool to see it. It's essentially what we were going for was kind of like a prospectus for a public company, but a lot more readable and user friendly, not just a bunch of BS language. So I think people will be excited about that report, and then also kind of the idea that report's going to be used for Cub, and then also for Leo ad revenue. So
looking forward to the Cub one, especially.
Yeah, the Cub one will be cool. I'm excited to have everyone see it. I'll give you guys, as we always do, a little alpha in the Discord. This is what a page from the report looks like. Obviously some pages are more charts than words, some are more words than charts.
Cat likes charts.
Yeah, charts are nice. But yeah, I saw a Taskmaster create a thread. He said Mitch gets it, he understands focusing on building revenues is something we do not see much in crypto. 100%. I think what's going to be cool about our DeFi platforms versus others is that we're focusing right now, the token prices are stupidly low. I mean, Cub at 2 cents and PolyCUB at 10 cents is like ridiculously low valuations. I think Cub's market cap is like 380K. PolyCUB's is like 700K. What that provides us is an opportunity, which is this revenue. And once you see it in this report, I think most people are going to be kind of astonished by that revenue. Outpaces inflation. So it's like if we can grow the multi-token bridge assets, we can continually outpace inflation from month to month. And for Cub, that means buying back more Cub and burning it than is created. For PolyCUB, that means buying back more PolyCUB than is created and locking it as Vex PolyCUB to pay that yield for Vex PolyCUB stakeholders. So I think it's really, really cool because it's really bringing in like this traditional finance view that is actually beneficial, because a lot of things from TradFi, people look at it as being bad. But there's plenty of things that are great from TradFi, and we're kind of taking that revenue and free cash flow model and implementing it.
Oh, absolutely.
So
well,
I'm pulling a lot of inspiration from things like SBF and FTX and Binance, and then also a lot of TradFi and hedge funds. And I'm trying to pull in a lot of inspiration from how they operate and kind of use that to build really robust platforms that actually generate good, sustainable and growing yield. That's the entire mission.
Absolutely. Well, again, and the increasing revenue is not only a win, but again, it's the fact that it essentially goes back into the system. It's not just going to pad the bottom line of profits for a central entity. Did you see my free BT's last question? He's got a good one.
I'm not really sure what he means. The wrapping between Leo.bank, I'm not sure. Like Leo Growth is when it wraps, it gets the same fee as every other account. Same thing with Leo.bank, except for the buybacks. So if it ever pulls like HBD or Hive revenue out, those buybacks are not subject to wrapping fees, because it's obviously not even wrapping them. So it's just pulling it out of the Oracle. But outside of that, like you can see, Leo.bank wrapped like 28,000 Hive or something yesterday, and that's subject to the fees.
I mean, makes sense. That's like what he just said. Like he's like, but the part of the protocol is just paying fees to itself. Yeah,
kind of.
I mean, well, I'm saying if that's the case, which it sounds like it is, it's like it's kind of like 6 one way, half a dozen the other, because it's like, all right, instead of doing it without paying the fee, it's like you're paying the fee, but those fees are coming right back, which are being used. So, I mean, I guess it's something that could be parsed out, but in the end, I feel like it has the same effect. It's just because it's just getting recycled right back in.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, if let's say that because I think what he's talking about is like the HBD that was pulled for PHBD for the buyback. Like if it paid a fee on that, which it could, it would essentially just be paying a fee for the future revenue, I guess. Like it's exactly what you're saying. It's like six dozen of one, half a dozen of another. It's like it's both the same.
Hold on. We gotta get the metaphors correct. It's 6 one way, half a dozen the other.
I actually haven't heard that before.
What? I never heard that until some girl I was dating like 15 years ago said that. And I was like, that's very useful. Because it was something like, which way do you want to go? Like we had to walk, whatever, around the block. And it was just like, it didn't matter which direction we went. It was the same distance. So it was like, it's like basically 6 one way, half a dozen the other. A half a dozen and 6 is the exact same thing.
Right.
So,
what if it's a baker's dozen?
Well, that's a whole nother thing, because we're not even getting to a dozen. Then you get a bonus. That's when you choose that one, because you win. You get the extra bagel. So, and if you're in New York, an extra bagel is always a win.
I'll take it.
Which, sidebar, ate way too many bagels while I was in New York because they're so good. Anyway, back to scheduled programming. So yeah, I think we got all the questions in Discord. I know you got the eye on Threads. Hold on, what we got here? What was your future worth? Nylon asked, will we see a future where outside users will use, will outside users move multiple cryptos across chain through the CUB protocol? There is only so much revenue that we can generate from the Hive user base. If users can use the bridge to swap USDC, for example, cross chain, it would push up revenue. There are very few options to cross chain for reasonable fees.
Yeah, I saw that. So that's kind of talking about like LeoBridge, the idea of having a multi-chain bridge, where it's just a single UI. You click swap and you can swap anything.
So it's kind of like multi-chain.
Right, like exactly like multi-chain, but using the multi-token bridge that we've built instead. 100%. We're still working on that. It's going to be with HBD and Hive now live on BNB Smart Chain with BHBD Hive, and then Polygon with PHBD Hive. The idea of LeoBridge is even more important. So it's exactly like Nylon said, like if we deploy this, basically this UI, because essentially you can do it, like you can do that right now. You can do exactly what he's talking about, but you have to do it on your own. Like you have to go to the UI, you have to buy, like let's say that you buy Beehive and you want to get HBD onto Polygon. Or even like, let's say that you've got BUSD on Binance Smart Chain and you want to get USDC on Polygon. You can take your BUSD, you can convert it to BHBD, then you can unwrap BHBD to HBD, then you can rewrap that HBD to PHBD, then you can sell the PHBD for USDC, and now you've just gone from BUSD to USDC, from BNB Smart Chain to Polygon, without using any middleman centralized exchange. You just did it through smart contracts and decentralized protocols. So,
and at the same time, lost every person that's not a crypto nerd.
True. So you could do that right now on your own. Obviously, what we need to create is a UI for people to do that, and that's going to be kind of one of those big next projects that we tackle, which will just be to create a multi-token bridge UI where you can do that swapping. We actually created it for Ethereum to BSC, but there's a lot of work left to be done. So a lot of work left to be done to make that compatible with Polygon and make it better and more user friendly. So that is definitely a work in progress.
So I actually refreshed the thread and it's sort of working. I see all the Taskmaster comments. I don't know if there's others that didn't load. Apparently, like this is my favorite thread. Hashtag scared a cat broke threads. I did. I jumped into threads and I blew it up already. As soon as you jumped
in, it all broke.
As soon as I jumped in, I should have. I stayed away for the first week and a half of threads, and as soon as I jump in, this is why we can't have nice things. So I don't see anything new in that. Oh, Taskmaster asked, when will we get a report on the ad revenue?
Soon.
It's in the Sooniverse.
It is in the Sooniverse. Yeah, this is what I'm excited about too, is that this reporting framework that we're using now, we're going to start using it for PolyCUB every single month, Cub every single month, and Leo every single month. So for PolyCUB, it's the Vex PolyCUB buybacks. That's the focus. For Cub, it's the Cub buyback and burn. And then for Leo, it's the Leo ads buyback. So it's going to be cool to have all these reports going out. And then also the reports include the DAO data. So, who's voting and PolyCUB improvement proposal system and stuff like that, like yield governance and all the DAO stuff that we're doing. Cause, kind of one of the things that slid under the radar in a few ways is that with PolyCUB, we launched an entire DAO framework that's going to be used both for Cub and Leo. So that DAO framework is live on PolyCUB, and people are voting on yield governance every single week. And then those pips are getting voted on as well. So I think that kind of slid under the radar that we actually developed an entire DAO and a functional DAO, because a lot of projects, especially in the DeFi space, claim to have DAOs, and they claim that they're building DAOs, and that's the whole fundamental value of their project, but they don't have a functional DAO yet. They're like, it's like in the Sooniverse for them, but we're in the Nowiverse. So our DAO is live and functional.
Nice. That's did you see what Task posted in Discord? That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 3Speak is doing Hive chat now on. Oh, that's cool.
Well, no, he said they're holding a Hive chat in Threads as we speak.
Yeah. 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 That's awesome. Yeah. I want to see more. I'd love to see more people using Threads in the same way they use Twitter. Like I've seen so many people since the launch of Threads asking how to use Threads, and really, I mean, it's my comment to them is just, I mean, have you used Twitter? Just use it the same way. You know, that's what it's intended to be, like a Twitter killer. It is, you know, it's literally 240 characters, and you can share links, you can share images, and you know, that's the way you should use it. If you have a quick thought about anything, just create a thread and post it, and you know, it's that's how you use it. There's no real you know, there's no real requirements for what a thread needs to be. A thread is whatever you make it. So, you know, the community makes threads out to be whatever they want it to be. We're here to provide the tools to use threads and to filter threads and to, you know, discover threads. And, you know, being that it's an MVP, obviously, you know, there's only a few ways to filter. Like there's hashtags, and then you can filter from created and trending. You know, a lot of people have asked for a few different extra filtering mechanisms, and that's what you know, that's what we're working on building. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, threads are what you make it, and it's microblogging, and it's not intended to be, you know, you shouldn't have to overthink the content that you create. I think on Hive, we're all kind of stuck in this mode of thinking where your content needs to be, you know, the best novel ever written. But with threads, that just completely removes that from the equation. You know, you can create 1,000 threads a day and nobody's going to tell you that they're shit. I mean, you can literally post, like, let's say that Mitch goes out and he hasn't made a thread yet, and for his first 26 threads, he posts one letter from the alphabet, and just that's all he threads about. And nobody's gonna, you know, there's nobody out there to downvote you. There's nobody out there to tell you that you can't do that. I mean, it's decentralized, it's microblogging on the blockchain, and it all gets posted to the Hive blockchain as well. So it's threads are what you make it. And I just think it's really cool that we have this feature now, and I'd like to see more people using it.
I'm just thinking, challenge accepted. Today shall be letter A.
Letter A.
I don't know if I have the commitment to make it through 26 days.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's hilarious.
And then,
maybe
you know,
maybe I'll get some upvotes on my letters.
Yeah,
we'll
exactly.
See, what's your favorite letter? Vote for your favorite letter.
Right. Well, that's the funny thing. So I was about to say, you know, with curation, like people ask like, oh, how do you earn rewards on threads? And why am I not getting upvotes on my threads and stuff like that? And when it comes to like Hive posts, you know, you may spend a few hours writing like a 2,000 word blog post, and then you get disappointed when you don't see a lot of upvotes on it and you don't get the rewards that you wish you got. But with threads, you could create 1,000 threads. And, you know, the way I look at it is, if you get, it's more like a tip on threads. Like if you get a tip, you're happy about it, but it's not required. It's optional. And, you know, it's cool to get. And that's how they work. You don't need to get upvoted on every single thread you make. I think it's cool that you can just create threads based on what you want to talk about, and you can engage with people based on what you want to talk about. And then on top of that, people are tipping each other, and occasionally you're going to get upvotes and you're going to earn rewards. You know, like I just upvoted this 3Speak thread. Let's see how much they're going to make from that. But the cool thing is, it's not about how much you make. It's about engagement and having fun and using something. You know, people use Twitter all day long and they're earning zero. Always. Yep. You can never have an option to earn.
Wait, hold on, Cal. They're not earning zero. They're getting the emotional lift of getting little hearts every time they post, because that's essentially what Web2 is. We traded our content for little hearts and likes.
Yep, 100%.
Which is funny.
You traded the value of your content for likes.
Yes,
for brownie points.
Yes, exactly. That's what they are, brownie. Little feel good clicks.
Mm-hmm.
Which is funny though, because then someone comes into like a Web3 environment and then they get sad they're not earning anything. It's like, dude, you weren't earning anything on the Web2 platform you just came from.
Right.
Like how quickly, and that's, honestly, that goes back to something that's even deeper. And it's just that fundamental, we're as humans, we're either focusing on what we don't have or we're grateful for what we do have. And unfortunately, the default operating model is focusing on what you don't have. You want something, you don't have it. Now I'm sad. Right. And this is why the
Grass
whole
is always
Web2 thing,
greener.
yeah. And that's why the whole Web2 thing works though, because it's just like you post, people give you likes and you feel good about yourself. So it's pretty interesting. And that whole dynamic is going to be interesting because I've already had that thought in terms of like, I've looked at threads and, I've engaged on some, and it was like, I was almost like hesitant to vote on it because I'm like, well, don't want to be using up vote juice on a thread, because I'm already tight as it is voting on posts that I want to vote on, right? And I have to spread that out, and maybe do like, I'll do like 50% votes and whatnot, so I can spread the love a little more. So, I voted like on one thread, I threw an upvote thus far, but that's going to be interesting too. I'd like to see over the next month if the number of blog posts actually shrinks because a lot of people are just doing threads instead. And it'll be interesting to see how that works out too, in terms of, voting on threads, and if there starts being some like, whatever ill will or negative feelings over, a thread making a lot of money, which in the end, like, it is what it is. That's just human nature nonsense, but it's just going to be, put it this way, it's going to be a fun show to sit back. I'll have my popcorn and kind of watch how it plays out over the next 30 days or so. So my free BTC told me to use Dust Sweeper. I'm so ignorant. I don't even know if that's an actual thing. Sounds cool though. Is that a way for me to just like drop micro votes automatically on stuff? I feel like I've pretty much been out of the loop for 2 weeks, and it feels like it's been essentially 2 months. Like, that's crypto for you. It's like
100%.
I go away from my machine for 2 weeks and I don't know anything anymore. Make sure your little upvotes get paid. Interesting. I like it. That's what I love about these AMAs, man. Great questions, and people always dropping stuff in the chat that's value add and useful. They go and upvote when it's about to expire. Oh, all right. Well, I follow Nifty, so I should be able to find that post. I'm gonna check that out for sure. That would be useful to me because I'm definitely not maximizing my curation rewards at all. I still manually vote pretty much every day. Obviously, if I'm away from my machine, sometimes I don't get to it. That's when Leo Mobile comes in handy, assuming it's behaving. But yeah, Hive has dust votes smaller, so I push it over. That's cool. Not sure about Leo.
Leo doesn't have that. So
That'd be cool.
Any amount.
It'd be cool if it did. I'll just dust threads all the time. Like, there'll be a thread dusting today.
Well, the thing about dust votes is that if it's over zero, or if it's under 0.02, it doesn't, on Hive, it doesn't get any payout. So like if your 10% upvote is like 0.01, nothing will get paid out from that. So it's kind of like losing an upvote, almost losing a 10% of an upvote.
I agree with Task. A lot of blog posts belong on threads because they're only 100 words. Agreed. I mean, my posts, honestly, like, they're too long to threads, but they're not super long. Like, I generally average, like, I think about 300 words, 300 to 400 words, especially like on like the chart analysis posts. I mean, it's not, a whole shit ton to say. It's like, here's the chart, here's the levels I'm looking at, here's the price action, and that's it. I don't need to drag it out. Usually those posts are only like a few hundred words.
It would be cool to, I wonder how, I actually don't know how Dust Sweeper works, but it might be cool to have our own like internal Dust Sweeper where any thread that is under 0.02 just automatically gets swept by our own system. So
that would be cool.
I don't know, maybe someone in chat knows more about how that works and maybe who's running it or something that we could talk to.
So Tess brought something up that I was actually going to ask. I was curious about it. And he said threads are ideal for charts and people showing visuals like that. So I can basically, again, I haven't done a thread yet. So I'm just going to, you know, approach it like a 5-year-old in terms of questions. So I can add images to threads.
Yeah. Yeah. You just copy paste an image, just like you do on a blog post.
Dude, that's badass. I mean, I could like
yeah.
literally put up a chart, a pic of a chart with a one-liner if I want to.
Yep.
I know that's funny. I was going to mention that earlier, Cal. Somehow I totally forgot, and you didn't kind of notice. I totally forgot to change my background
Oh, I
to
didn't even
my
notice.
LeoFinance. So how's that? Said Cat, Bitcoin enthusiast. Yeah,
Bitcoin
look at that. It's on my
enthusiast.
phone. That's not my phone. I am a Bitcoin enthusiast. I bought more Bitcoin at 20 and 19 and 18, and wish I would have bought Ethereum instead because holy up 100% in a month. But yeah, I added to my long-term Bitcoin bag on the dip. I didn't add much in terms of alts outside of I added to Rune. And I did buy some Atom because I just wanted some exposure to the Cosmos blockchain. And then just kept stacking Cub, Leo, and PolyCUB. I didn't buy any, but I just continued to stack because I got a nice chunk that comes in every day. And I just keep stacking. In fact, I'd really like to know where I am on the Cub rich list. I know I'm behind One Alpha and Cal for sure, but who else am I behind? And there might not be anyone. Who knows? Or it'd be cool if
Stack it
threads could
up.
be linked into the posts with the markdown. That would be cool, actually. I know my soul. I don't know why I couldn't say that for a second. Yeah, no, that's not anything that's been hidden. I'm a Cub whale because I mean I stayed with Cub. I didn't move all my Cub over to PolyCUB. I kept stacking, trying to get a bigger stack for more and more airdrops. There'll be some airdrop somehow, some way.
It's funny. Cat will confirm.
What is this?
Morty asked in threads, why are images in threads uploaded externally to Web2 Imgur instead of any LeoFinance Hive server? So actually, if you look at, like, I just uploaded a image for the PolyCUB report. I actually just linked it in Discord too. Like, see here, it shows it was actually uploaded to images.hive.blog. So that's on Hive. But we also use Imgur because sometimes hive.blog doesn't work for various reasons. So Imgur is kind of like a backup for us. And that's kind of, you know, sometimes you'll see images actually go to Imgur instead of hive.blog.
Oh, that's funny. It took me a second to understand what Task just did there. For Cat to make up for lack of monetized upvotes, meaning like hashtag upvote this. In fact, Task, we should, me and Task like never vote each other. We comment on each other's shit, but we like never vote each other. We should get into a vote love affair, Task. Although I think you have a bit more stake than I do. Let's see if I can get this thread to, I'm gonna try and refresh and see if it comes up. Let's see. I know there's updates going on when I don't know if anyone else is getting it, but in dark mode on LeoFinance, what'll happen is like people's names and like the payouts like are also still in dark text, even though you're in dark mode. So you really can't see them unless you like hover over it, and then it turns white. That's been happening on and off for like the last couple of weeks. And it's usually when there's updates being pushed. Come on, threads, you can do it. So far, I'm just getting a little spinny circle. I will look back in a moment. Oh, I think it just loaded. Nope. Nothing new. So what else we got? Let me look at YouTube. Comments that are on par with everything in Discord, so that's good. I don't see anything new in Discord. Let's see what the threads are doing. I went back to the main page and now I'm completely lost. Oh, there we go. I found task thing. Now the pictures are loading too. That just jumped my page. Big pictures. Nailine bought some alpha mermaids again today. They're worth about 200 each at the top of the run, and now they're $20. So basically the cards are on par with pretty much all of crypto in terms of pullback. All righty, let me vote. Although right now my juice isn't, I just did a bunch of votes. There you go. I found Task's heart post. Or thread, I should say. Nice. I agree, Task. Someone should NFT my first thread post. The pressure's on now. I got to make something cool. I can't just do A. I really want to do that now, though, and turn it into a contest. Vote for your favorite letter. I could turn it into some kind of prize, too. Like, whatever letter wins, those people split the rewards from the thread. Although I don't end up making anything off of that, but it'd still be fun.
It would be fun. That's what Threads is about. Have fun.
Exactly.
Engage.
I'm just here to have fun in crypto and chew bubble gum. And I'm all out of bubble gum. Only the 40+ crowd will probably know that reference.
I knew it was a quote.
Oh yeah, there was a movie with Roddy Piper back in the 80s called They Live. And basically, like, you know, there's like aliens walking around Earth, but like you can only see them with these certain glasses. But yeah, he said he walks into this bank with a gun and everyone, like, you know, freaks out. And he's just like, I'm here for 2 reasons: to kick ass and chew bubble gum. And I'm all out of bubble gum.
Sounds like something from a recent movie too.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think it was in Deadpool. I think it was in Deadpool.
He might have reused it in Deadpool. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I think you're right.
It sounded really familiar when you said it, but I've never seen that movie.
Yeah, so it's from an 80s movie called They Live, which honestly isn't a bad movie. Just check it out. Good old Roddy Piper. I think that's the only movie he did. I could be wrong. You know, I'm assuming you know who that is, right? The wrestler from back in the day.
No.
What? Oh, he was like he was around during like peak Hulk Hogan time. Hogan stayed around obviously longer than like anybody, but yeah, Roddy Piper was the man. He was awesome. So anyway, if you got any questions, throw them into chat. How long have we been going now? About a good hour, I think, right? At least.
Yeah. And we were on pre-show for like an hour or two.
Oh, it was that long, but yeah, pre-show we were probably on for a good half
pre-show
hour.
was good. Yeah.
About a half hour.
And we had a couple weeks to catch up for.
Talking some real estate. I need to talk Cal into taking all his crypto riches and investing into real estate projects with me.
I don't know how much riches are left.
I will find the project. Exactly, right? Finding nifty profiles a pain in the task. That's funny. That is true. That is one thing that's still, let's go back to that. That's a old drawing board one. When search feature on LeoFinance desktop to find people?
Soon. But you have it on mobile.
If I could get mobile to open.
Actually, mobile has a really, that was another update that kind of slid under, but it was a very infrastructure-based update. We added full text search to mobile, and you can actually search like anything in mobile, and it
that's huge. Actually,
search all content. Yeah, it's obviously not perfect. It needs a lot of improving, but it does work. So
That's something that should definitely be shared.
migrated. Yeah,
Well,
we're
no,
gonna
I'm saying
merge
like
it into desktop.
not. I don't even know like a lot of people even realize that. I mean, it's like when in doubt, go to mobile and search.
Yep.
Is there a way to get mobile to work? Marco, some pushes. We talked when you missed it. The Leo mobile app is going to get some updates. What'd you say over the next like week or so?
Yeah, give it like 1 to 2 weeks or so. We're working on it right now. But ever since Threads went live, basically Lightning is indexing a lot more content than it did before, and it's indexing Threads. But Leo Mobile hasn't been updated yet to handle that. So, yeah, it worked fine until Threads went live. Yeah, it's there's definitely a lot of outages on Leo Mobile now until they broke mobile to a degree where things don't load the way they used to. But yeah, with the new update, you'll get Threads on mobile and you'll get better loading on everything too. So
this is
a lot
why
of improvements.
Here's why my curation APR tanked, because I was
why.
away. I was away for a week and a half, 2 weeks, and I couldn't go on Leo Mobile to vote because stinking Threads. Damn those Threads.
Yeah, it'll be updated soon in the Sooniverse.
Yeah, Leo Mobile's not. I mean, I know some people just prefer living on mobile. I mean, for me, it's more so just convenient when I'm away from my machine, whether it's traveling or just if I'm away from keyboard for like a full day locally. It's just nice to be able to jump on if I have some downtime and vote some people up, maybe make some comments. I've never tried to post from mobile. I'm sure I'll do it at some point, probably when I'm like away from my desk for several days. But me, I'm old school. I prefer to post from desktop just because that's what I'm used to. Especially from being a blogger, like pre-crypto days. But mobile's definitely nice for stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think mobile is going to be not about posting blog posts. It's going to definitely, like, even when you see the update, it prioritizes when you hit the post button, it shows you threads to post a thread. You obviously still can post a post, like a blog post, but yeah, it will prioritize threads. And I've said this a few times, the Leo desktop UI is built for the content creator experience, and Leo Mobile is built for the content consumer experience. Obviously with Threads though, it kind of turns people who are on Leo Mobile into content creators as well in a different way than blog posting. So yeah, it's interesting, but yeah, I don't really see it as being that feasible to post blog posts from mobile. Like, I don't think people are sitting there typing 1,000-word blog posts from their iPhone or Android. So instead, I see people creating threads and engaging just the same, like Twitter. I almost never use Twitter on desktop. I like 90% of the time I'm on mobile. Yeah, I'm on the Twitter app. So Leo Mobile is going to turn into kind of like Threads. Like it's just kind of like Threads mobile. So that's kind of where it's
takes us to the next question. And I saw someone posted somewhere. I don't know if it was in Threads. I can't find an AMA. I know I saw it though when we were getting the call started. Someone had posted a question, I'm pretty sure it was in Threads, that asked essentially like, that question that goes way back, and I'm assuming it hasn't changed, about Project Blank. It's like, when Project Blank launches, is there going to be some kind of airdrop still? And that's, I guess, a good question, because like, Threads is sort of like Project Blank, just within LeoFinance, as opposed to being a standalone thing. So I guess maybe if there's any update in regards to that with the plan for, Project Blank.
Yeah, we'll be talking about Project Blank plans later in the Sooniverse.
All right.
But yeah, right now, the entire team is focused on Threads and making LeoThreads amazing, making the experience amazing, improving the infrastructure, making it scalable. That's that's where we're at, because Threads is a game changer for Leo, and all this infrastructure that we've built and everything that we've been doing, it's really important. And generating that ad revenue is also really important for the long term of Leo as a token. So that's definitely where the focus is.
All this hodling, so little airdrops. Ah, promises, promises.
We
I'm just
delivered.
messing. I'm just messing
Microblogging.
with you.
I know.
When airdrops, when free money.
When soon? When soon?
Uh, no. So, I mean, it's pretty awesome, to watch things evolve. Over the last like 6 months, especially. And, you know, I think you see it more so in tech-based endeavors and businesses where you're pivoting more often, right? Because like I talk about that all the time in business. Like, the key is pivoting. Like you start with a plan, you get user feedback, you get experience, you see, what's working, what's not, and then you pivot, right? And that's huge in tech. And it's talked about it, especially like Silicon Valley. Like that's like one of the most popular words is basically pivot. And you've seen it happen, over the last 6 months, especially with all the LeoFinance projects. Like you've had ideas and directions you wanted to go, and then based on the feedback and the user experience and just the engagement, you've pivoted and changed.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that, has been for a positive, and a lot of it's been geared toward building sustainability for the DeFi apps. So as much as, you can go back and like people like, oh, I want my Avalanche Cub airdrop and my Phantom Cub airdrop at the same time. It's like, well, there's no point of building out those things if there's no sustainability. It's just
Right.
going to basically launch and then trend down to zero, right?
Right.
So I think that pivot has occurred. And it's like, all right, how do we build sustainability in a DeFi platform? How do we generate more revenue sources to help create that sustainability on top of that? So, as much as it's always fun and nice to have airdrops, at the same time, it's smarter to make pivots that create a sustainable business, a sustainable, ecosystem.
Right. Yeah, the change in focus has been really important, I think, for PolyCUB and now for Cub as of the last 2 weeks, which is to build out that sustainability, to build out those revenue sources, and especially in this time where crypto is down, everything's down. I was listening to this podcast, and I'm a big fan of the All In podcast with a bunch of basically startup investors.
You're the second person that said that to me this week.
Really?
Yeah, I got another buddy, a real estate buddy that loves that podcast.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I love it, and these guys are basically like these huge VCs and tech builders, and one of them was an early employee at Facebook, another was an early employee at PayPal, and now they're super famous in the venture capital community. Summertooth, it's called All In Podcast. And yeah, it's cool to watch because they talk a lot about startups and investing and even crypto sometimes. And it's one thing that they talk about is that there's been this big shift in focus for investors, both in public equities and private VC investing, which is they're looking at free cash flow and they're looking at revenue and burn rate. And, I take a lot of that stuff to heart because it's very relatable for Leo stuff. So like for Leo, we have a burn rate, and, I've talked about this on the podcast before about, honing in our burn rate, saving up some cash, and being ready for, 4 to 5 years of a bear market. That's basically what I did over the last, 12 months for Leo is I looked at our burn rate. I looked at how much cash, we had to develop things, and I made sure that we had enough cash for 4 to 5 years of essentially making no revenue. So, that was a really important focus for me. And then, and that came directly from the podcast. But this idea about free cash flow and revenue is really changing my ideas for Cub and PolyCUB, and really focusing on, especially in a bear market, generating revenue for the protocols and having the DAO set up and doing all this stuff. That's why you can see this kind of very important and kind of critical change over the last couple of months for PHBD, Phive, BHBD, Beehive, which is just building out the multi-token bridge and ensuring that we can generate a lot of revenue for the protocol, and we're not just any other DeFi protocol, excuse me, trending down to zero. We are actually a protocol that is generating real revenues, real exchange volumes, real arbitrage. So that's really where Cub and PolyCUB have gotten to. Especially looking at their prices and where these low valuations have gotten to, the amount of revenue that can be generated on such a small amount of TVL on the multi-token bridge is really incredible. So, like I keep saying, like when everyone sees this PolyCUB report, you're going to really get a transparent glimpse into how much revenue we could potentially build up through PolyCUB and Cub. If we can grow the multi-token bridge TVL from, for PolyCUB right now, it's 500K, for Cub, it's 250K. If we grow that to 1 million and 500K, or, 1 million on each, 2 million on each over time, over a long period of time, that revenue is going to get really crazy. And then the buybacks of PolyCUB and Cub are just going to create exponentially more value. Obviously, it increases APYs in the farms, and it creates a very positively trending snowball effect. And I'm just excited to see, that kind of get kickstarted with this PolyCUB report, and then obviously the Cub report that follows it.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting. Speaking of things that follow, I guess I'm gonna write a AMA recap after we get off, because I didn't try and multitask. I kind of forgot about even trying to do it, but it's better off because it's tough to write that and try and engage as host. So I think I'm gonna scrape one together when we get off. But speaking of wrapping up, usually we end the calls with just kind of general crypto talk. So we got 5 minutes to 2 in Eastern here. So
yeah,
we want to do like a 5-minute general crypto. I know in YouTube, Morty asked, what did he say? Bitcoin breaking 25K or crashing back down to 20 in the next couple of weeks. I thought that was interesting because I did a post, it's probably a few days ago at this point, talking about Bitcoin struggling at, I think it was like 24 and change. I forget exactly what my range was, but I was looking at the 4-hour chart because you can kind of see it clear and more, with more clarity. So yeah, it's very interesting, honestly. There's this mysterious, it's not completely mysterious because there was definitely consolidation at that level, like way back when, like a year or so ago, but Bitcoin has been struggling, in that little area. So let me bring up my chart right now. I can let's talk about more specific prices. So
it's pretty crazy how, we did kind of jump a lot from that latest CPI print. All markets really rallied off of that.
Oh yeah, I mean, and the S&P is up today. S&P broke through that key resistance level. So in fact, the S&P's actually been doing better over the last month than Bitcoin in terms of like a rally. Yeah, so basically 24.3 to like 24.9 is kind of like that supply zone that I'm looking at. And sure enough, like even like yesterday's candle, it spiked through it and then knocked it down, and we got, a nice upper wick, and today we're red. And so I don't know what it is about that level, but Bitcoin's been struggling to get through it. So either it's gonna finally pop through, and if it does, I don't see any reason why we don't push back up to like 28, potentially 29. And if it doesn't, then yeah, I mean, we could just kind of grind in this range. But the one good thing is, though, I mean, over the last, what is it now, 2 months, like essentially we've been carving out a bottom. So that's not the worst thing. I'm not gonna say it's bullish, but definitely ain't bearish. So should be interesting. I'm personally, like I've been saying, still hoping for another leg down because I'd love to buy some Bitcoin in the mid to lowish teens, but I don't know if that's going to happen. So, and
Yeah, I
then
picked up a lot of Bitcoin, and I keep buying. I'm just dollar cost averaging in, even at 24K. So
yeah, I didn't set it on autopilot. I wish I would have, because I would have obviously bought a bunch, 2021 instead of just like the manual purchases I did, which, at this point now are a month and a half old. I don't know where that time went. But yeah, near term, I'm just keeping my eye on this 24,000 area, see if we can push through and crack into 25K. We shall see.
yeah. What do you think about the S&P? It's kind of kind of interesting. Like here, I'll post this chart. It's like
Well,
really rallied off the bottom.
like I said, it's ripped, and so there was that huge support resistance area there, right? It's like call it like 4150 on the SPX, and it hit into it. I actually considered, I'm like, maybe I should put a short on, because I haven't done a stock trade in eons. But I just decided I missed the first one back in June when it failed. So sure enough, it blasted right through. It actually gapped through that resistance, and it's on quite the tear.
Yeah,
So we'll see.
I'm really surprised. I mean, and crypto is just not having the same type of rally.
It's not,
which is interesting.
It's not. And right now, like if you look at like SPX, I mean, we're overbought on stochastics. RSI is, basically as high as it really ever gets. So I would expect, I would not be surprised if we get a pullback and test that like 4150 area. But if it comes back and tests that and holds it, that's actually like a bullish confirmation. So like right now, the S&P is set up to potentially confirm, essentially like an uptrend and the potential bull run, which would be really interesting, because I mean, in the end, what was that? Basically just 6 months of a down market, and that would be it. Pretty wild.
Yeah. Quick recession bounce.
Yeah. Well, so the CPI number was better than expected. Not as great as I thought it was going to be. I think next month will be even more telling. So if that is better than expected and, prints something, considered good, it'll be interesting to see what the Fed does in September.
Yeah.
So
your target for September reversal could be spot on.
I don't know that they're going to reverse, but I would not be surprised if we see only like a quarter point in September, which to me is sort of a reversal.
Right. Yeah. I mean, markets will rip if we see that. It's just,
I don't know. I feel like in 2023, they'll be giving out money again, but who am I kidding? They're already giving out money. What was that? The inflation protection plan or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's so stupid.
So they're going to start sending out money again.
Right. Their inflation protection plan is to inflate.
Yes. To send you more money that's getting devalued by the minute.
Right. Don't worry about devaluation. We'll just devalue more. That's their solution. It really is telling to see the way that the Fed is governing things, that their only tool in the tool shed really is to do QE, quantitative easing. That's really all they've got.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. And this is another thing from that All In podcast that I like. They were talking about, in 2022, we are long past, technologically speaking, the point where the Fed should have real-time data on consumer inflation and where money is flowing and logistics like shipping and material costs. We're long past the time when they can have real-time, minute-to-minute updates on all of this stuff, which would mean also real-time rate changes rather than this stupid kind of outdated, archaic system that we've got now. It's insane. It is really insane that in 2022 we still have this kind of like we've got this guy named Powell and he just kind of does whatever the hell he wants, and there's no real data to back anything up, and it's just stupid. It's all theory.
It's so true. I mean, and then it's going to be 20 years before those changes come in, because government systems are always 20 years behind. I mean, I saw that, just from like my mom works for the county, and it's just like, their computer system and network and everything was always like 20 years outdated. And it's also just that, that mindset. So, 20, 30 years from now, we're going to have, a Fed president that, grew up with all this tech, and it's going to be like, what are we doing? Like, this is dumb. Like, no, real-time data, real-time adjustments. Like, what is this monthly, once a month or every 2 months nonsense? So,
yeah. Even Elon Musk was talking about that on a podcast he did recently. He was saying, they asked him something like, can you increase longevity and human lifespan? And he was like, yeah, but But one problem with that is that you do want people to die. You want people to get out of office, and you want politicians to be removed. Like
It's 100% true.
yeah, one of the parts of life that makes it growing and evolving is that old people are removed from power and young people get put into power.
Yep.
And that happens cyclically so that you can have, improvements made. The thing is, technology pace, the pace of technology and, upgrades, improvements has drastically increased the pace of change in the world.
Yep.
So, whereas things used to turn over maybe every 100 years or 200 years, things turn over now like every year. I mean, like the technology last year is nothing compared to the technology this year. You go back 20 years and, we had flip phones and people were, people would have never imagined a day where we all have, I was actually thinking about this the other day, where we all just have iPhones and we're instantly connected to the internet. We're all talking to each other constantly 24/7, no matter where you are on the planet. 20 years ago, that did not exist. So
Nope.
we're still operating with rules built for a society that doesn't have complete interconnectedness and data flow. And this is just one example of how the slow turnover rate in government policy and Fed and monetary policy is just so archaic.
100%.
And it really needs to be evolved. And
well, and it's a society thing too. I mean, like that
yeah.
example is just a microcosm of society, like using the government, because I tell people at times, like talking about changes and like with crypto and like, what's going to become the norm when, and I'm like, guys, everything's going to take longer than you think because tech's not the problem. Human beings are the problem. Society, right. Like you need to have, the generations. That's why I believe so much in crypto, because I know basically in 20 years from now, you're going to have all these people that grew up with crypto and like, are in their 30s and their 40s and like, prime investors, prime people, running the country. And it's like, that's what, they grew up with this stuff, as opposed to, someone that's 60 years old. It's like, no, like, yeah, some of them will get into crypto, but it's not going to be their thing. It's not in, new tech. And, think about it. Anyone's got a grandparent, right? Think about your grandparent using a smartphone, right? It's usually a little bit rough. So, and that's just, so that's actually a good point by Elon, because people living to 150 is actually slow down advancement in society, ironically.
Yeah. Well, and like, I mean, even look at the president of the United States. He's 79 years old. Like, have you ever seen a 79-year-old try to use an iPhone or try to do
79?
Anything? Yeah, he's 79 going on 98.
Oh my God. I literally thought he was in his late 80s. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, he's 79. But
oh
not
my goodness. Well, we're not even getting to that. That's just, I felt like apparently, I'm not going to even bring up political parties. I'm just going to say, apparently the government wanted America just to become a complete laughingstock of the world and have like, I don't even know what we have, as president, like just a literally a figurehead. Like,
right. Yeah, no, he's just a puppet. He's a puppet that can be moved around. He's like, as much of a puppet as Justin Sun's Steam witnesses.
That's funny. But yeah, that's interesting. So, which we'll see what happens with the economy in the next couple months. And obviously the elections always create volatility. So midterm elections should definitely create some volatility, at least for the stock market. I don't know how it'll impact crypto, but should be interesting times indeed.
Yeah.
But either way, my point of view is I'm just literally sitting, waiting for the next bull market, thinking about, fuck, I've already done this once. How did I F this up? Like, I should have already cashed out and been crypto rich, and then waiting for the next bull market with leftovers. Instead, apparently I somehow wrote it up, wrote it down, wrote it up, and wrote it back down again. It was just in something else. I wrote it back down last time in ICOs and regular coins. This time I wrote it back down in DeFi. So same story, new projects.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting though. The psychology of investing. But
it really is. Hindsight and foresight are so crazy when it comes to investing.
Yeah. But all I needed personally, I just needed Bitcoin to get to 80K. That was the price for the crypto market for me to be like, all right, time to cash out a lot. And I just didn't get that last leg. About Elon Musk, yes, about people need to die. Counter arguments to that, especially. There we go. What is this? Fable of the Dragon Tyrant. I mean,
Interesting.
I'm sure there's definitely great kind of arguments to it, but just on a surface level, it sort of makes sense just from my personal view about how, you know, um, evolution of society, obviously things change with new generations because, it's like the saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? That's not to say that, people don't bring in, new things and new technology and change later in life, but you do get stuck in your ways, right? And I can even say for someone like I'm 44 and like there's a lot of things that, I'm stuck in my ways. And like I look at the, I'll look at a 20-year-old and just be like, wow, like you have like, like I think like you can bring me to a room full of 20-year-olds and I think they're most of them are basically like no loyalty and complete sellouts, right? But it's because it's a point of view. Like they grew up in this like gamification of the world. And it's like, how do I win? Like, this is how you play the game. This is how I win. Right. Me, I'll look at some stuff and be like, yeah, I understand that's the rules, but like doing that just feels like selling out. Like that's not a thing. Like that was, my generation growing up
Yeah.
with like, oh, especially with music, like, oh, well, he sold out, blah, blah, blah. He went mainstream, blah, blah, blah. Like, I guess, or is that just called winning?
Yeah.
Right. So
Right. Well, now, look at like rappers and stuff, and they all talk about, getting that big deal, signing that big deal. It's like a celebration. It's not like a
exactly.
sellout thing.
So, and I mean, personally, I'd probably be much more successful financially if I didn't have that, sellout mentality. So, because there's a difference between screwing people over and quote unquote selling out, right? There's distinct
Right.
differences. Although I do think that line gets really blurred from what I've seen with, younger people where it's like they just look at life as a game and it's just like, all right, but do you realize how that's affecting other people? I think that's
Right.
gotten a little blurred and scares me a little bit to think, maybe 20 years from now, when people are running the country that kind of like grew up with gamification being the norm. But, who knows? That could just be me being like, an old man, get off my lawn type mindset. People evolve as they grow. So hopefully we can continue to be, a society that has compassion and empathy and doesn't just look at everything as, this is the system. This is what you do. What are you talking about? Like, so, and that's, I don't know, that's just me trying to give an example of, point of views, generation from generation and how that does impact change and evolution of technology being implemented and society using something as the norm.
Yeah.
So it's like the bottom line is like my mom and my grandparent, like their generations, they're never going to be using MetaMask. And if they are, it's going to be like what, 2% of that whole entire generation, right? So, but then you look at like, I don't even know the names of the generations anymore. I can't keep up, whatever, was it a Gen Z or whatever the hell it is? I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like 80% of them are probably going to be using MetaMask. Like you see the difference.
Technically, I'm Gen Z. So I'm like the oldest Gen Z you can get.
That's
Right
like
on the
me.
border.
I'm actually the lost generation where like we fall in between millennial and I guess like was it Gen X or yeah, I think so. So it's interesting. But
Yeah. They're calling
anyway,
us Zillennials.
millennials, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so wait, I thought that's what they were calling us. Starts with an X.
No, it's with a Z, like
Oh, all right.
like
So
Gen
actually,
Z and a millennial.
or what, maybe it wasn't Zennial. It was something, there was something with us. They said like there was this like 4 to 5 year period that they were like, we're kind of like this like lost generation that's like kind of in, like we're a little bit millennial, but we're a little bit, Gen X or whatever. So they like someone came up with a new term for it. And it was like literally this. And it's kind of true though, like, because essentially like I'm just older than the oldest millennial, but it's like we still had a lot of that stuff because like we were still just young enough for like, all the tech, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when I was 18, I got my first cell phone, not because I couldn't get one earlier because that's when cell phones really started becoming a thing.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like I grew up, I was still young enough. I was still late teen, early 20s for for the dot-com bubble. Like I was in college for the dot-com bubble.
Yeah.
So I was still young where I was still, up on all the new tech and, and I lived through, Napster and all that. And so we were at the beginning of it all, but, we were still young enough to be on top of it. Like we were the ones that were in the know back then.
Yeah. I was kind of an interesting point because I think I got my first phone. It was like a flip phone. I think I was like 7 years old, 6 or 7.
That blows my mind. Honestly, I'm glad I'm not you. I am so glad I wasn't around till I was a teen. I think phones are ruining kids being a young kid.
100%. Well, and then I got my first smartphone, I think when I was like maybe 10. So like I had the experience of like a flip phone, and then I knew what it was like to have that and then go to a smartphone and be like, holy shit, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And and then I think I got my first computer when I was like 6 or 7.
Wow.
Right around the same time. Yeah.
Dude.
So
I would say I was a computer geek. I definitely wasn't because I wasn't smart enough for that. But I have friends that kind of were. I had a very diverse group of friends growing up. But I remember I was I think I might have been in 8th. Nah, I was probably in 9th grade. I had a friend that was 2 years older than me that, he would build his own computers. So I remember him helping me build my first white box, big ass clunky PC with a big tube monitor. I remember, I remember bringing that thing back and forth to school and college. Like, oh my God, like how easy do people have it now? Like I was lugging that fucking big ass, like that monitor had to weigh like 25 pounds. Plus I had the big white box. Like it would take up like a third of the back of my car. But yeah, those are the good old days. But yeah, flip phone. That was my first phone, was a flip phone. And then I remember on 9/11, it wasn't a sidekick, but it was like a sidekick, like the Nokia brick that you pop open to the keyboard. Yep. So I'm pretty sure that's the phone I had on 9/11. And it was funny because that's the only time I think about how cool it would have been to have a smartphone earlier, because, in 2001, it's just like, I wish I could have had a smartphone where I could have just done a 360 video of when I was standing in the intersection of like 36th and 7th. And like, there was not a soul to be found. Like usually like, that's where the taxi cab line is. Like you stand in that intersection, you're going to get hit by a cab like every 10 seconds. It was like not a soul, like there was no cars, no headlights, not anybody. I was like, how cool would it be to have that footage right now? Right.
Right.
Like that'll literally never, ever, ever, ever probably happen again. In Manhattan in terms of having that moment. So that would have been cool to have a smartphone. So, pros and cons to everything. So yeah. I mean, I guess I could have took pictures, and I might have. It's just not
created
the same.
one. Yeah.
Like it's just not the same.
Right.
Well,
you can't take like a high quality 4K video.
Exactly. So all I had was some low res pics I could take, and obviously looking back on it, I wish I would have took a whole bunch, and then maybe I could have created that into some kind of panoramic video. But you don't know those things. I mean, you don't know where tech's going to go. You don't think these things.
Maybe one day just be able to plug your brain in and you could download those pictures.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, technology is crazy, man. The evolution of tech over the last 20 years is freaking insane.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, now that we just stumbled into some kind of esoteric conversation, I think I was on a soapbox for a hot minute too. I will slowly step down from my soapbox. I think I've scared
S&P's
off
up 0.6% now.
For the year?
No, today. 0.6%.
Gotcha.
Crazy. Keep going up.
It's not not that negative anymore though. Hold on, we started the year. Oh, we were still by the highs. All right, yeah. So we're still down on the year because we were up at like 4,700 and change. It's not down a lot though. It's down a lot less than it was. I don't know. It's like you have to have a down year in the market at some point. You can't be up every single fucking year. So, I mean, what do we take? What is that? Figure it's about 400 points. Yeah, the S&P is down less than 10% now. It's probably like 8.5%. It's only down now. after being down like what? We were down like almost 20, I think 18% at one point. Wild. They keep printing. Oh, we lost Cal. I saw you froze. That's all right. It's a good time to end. We're going to call it a wrap. And until next week. I'm going to give him a heads up. I'm signing off. All right, guys. It's been fun. It was good to get one in after a couple weeks of not doing it. We shall see you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Roughly-ish. Peace.